Looks like it's Halloween. Whatever you think about it, it's not really part of my culture. I'm Italian, but it kind of is since I moved here in the UK. It's always a great time of the year to catch up on some horror films, and I'm a huge fan of the genre, so I'm quite happy about it. For the occasion, I thought we could practice some horror scoring. I put together a little clip with scary footage that I got on Artlist. And I thought we could practice some horror scoring using some Sonora cinematic libraries and libraries from other friends. We can explore some of the tricks typically used by composers to make music sound scary. And let's do that when I'm back in the studio. Look how beautiful the seaside of Edinburgh looks in the early hours of the morning. And that is my dog running away, so I gotta go. Okay, here we go. This is the scene that I put together. Let's have a quick look. If you're scared of clowns, don't watch it. Got some bloody knives and tools. Something very wrong is going on here. Got this paddle where we get a hint, a glimpse of the character, which is an evil clown. Playing with some knives, not good. This is the first time that we see the character in the face. Again, playing with blades. Now here is looking in the camera, coming towards us, so I'm gonna want some really big tension build up here. Manic laughter, cut to black, and comes back. So we're gonna want like a big jump scare at the end over there. Let's start playing with this. So that we can focus on the music right away, you see that on my Nuendo session or Cubase session, I already have some markers going on. I already found a tempo map that works with all these cuts so that we can go straight to working with some music. What I want to do with this is to give you 4 different tips to score horror. Let's get started. The first tip that I have is to embrace silence. Using silence effectively is really one of the best things that you can do, one of the most important things that you can do to make something feel scary through music. I'm gonna do this starting the scene with Amber, which is the king of creepy soundscapes. I have this patch over here which has creep on one side and whisper to the other. And you see that I drew automation on my session so that it kind of moves with the scene, but I wanted to stop abruptly over here when we get a glimpse of this character through the paddle. Let's see how it works. I want to introduce other sonic elements in this space over here, and leaving these silences leave space for them. And I did the exact same thing when he's playing with the knives over here. Up until we get to this close-up. And towards the end over here, I've added a couple of different layers. Here's for the session. Here I have this shockwave that moves towards these trill strings. And I layered it with this other bit, which has these cool process laughters. It kind of works together with the clown laughing at the end. And again, if I open these lanes, you'll see that I drew automations for all of this, so that these soundscapes are really moving with the picture. This is the very first thing I did and sort of provided at least some basic elements to work with. Now let's use some one-shots from Amber in these key points we highlighted. Here are the one-shots in Amber.
Really loads of great stuff in here. Every blue key is a different one shot. And in terms of position, I definitely want to add one over here when we cut to the paddle. And then I also added one at the very end for the comeback when we're made believe that everything is finished, but then it comes back. I want a big jump scare here, and probably I'll have to layer it with something else. So let's see how these one shots works at these key points. Is one, and then at the very end. Crescendo. Absolute silence, and back. Just so that I can add an interesting organic element to this, I opened Poiesis Cello and I want to use the two textural patches. So I have textural sparse in layer A and textural medium in layer B, and I can crossfade between them using the mod wheel. And here's how it sounds in context. I already played this in. Silence again. Then it starts again together with Amber. Here's we're leaving as much space as possible, because here is where the bulk of my action is going to happen. And for this final crescendo, between these two notes over here, I definitely want to decrease the release in Poiesis Cello, so I can go in advanced and decrease the release over here, so that these two notes sounds a bit more divided. Perfect. The next tip is to use a menacing pulsing bass. It always works, and we're going to use Porphyro Hybrid for it. I'm not even going to bother programming something from scratch, because Porphyro comes with an amazing collection of over 450 presets, and Abstract Sub 2 is my favorite for this type of stuff. It sounds like this. Very cool. I can add some crossfading. And let's just see what I wrote with this. So I am just going from C to E flat, as we are in C minor, and back to C through a quick passage note. But the interesting thing is that at first I wanted the bass to start right here, but then I deleted this first bit and had it start one bar later when it starts smiling, which I think is way more effective. And back to C. And there is this dissonant element of the shock wave from Amber that gets to the trill, which I think is working very well. Silence, jump scare. Cool, it's taking shape. The third tip is to use simple, almost childish elements. There is a long tradition of doing this in horror, from using children choirs to toy instruments. I want to incorporate a music box-like element. I'm going to use Verticale for this. Here's Verticale. As you might already know, this is a lo-fi sounding instrument. It's a beautiful vintage upright piano which I passed to a cassette tape. It sounds like this. Sounds already noisy and cool. There is the option to get rid of the noisy cassette tapes, by the way. But as we said, I want a music box-like quality. So I'm going to use for this a plugin which I think is completely and criminally underappreciated, and that's Unfiltered Audio Fault. It's sort of a weird frequency shifter that works very well, and I just tweaked this stereo detuned preset and sounds like this. And now I think this is the perfect horror piano sound. This is great. Let's play something very simple here, which means presenting the fourth tip, harmony. You're probably familiar with many harmonic devices to evoke tension or mystery. Here I want to show you a couple of very interesting tricks. The first one I want to show you is a very simple chord called the minor major 7. Sounds complicated, but it's nothing but a minor triad. So for example, C, E flat, G, and you add a major 7 to it. This chord occurs on the first degree of the minor harmonic scale, and I really like it because it's kind of abstract sounding. And if you want to get out of functional harmony, you can add a flat 9 to it. Makes it even more dissonant. So I came out with something very simple to play in, and it's just C, G, then the minor triad, and then B, C, D flat. So it goes like this. Very simple and childish. Here's in context. And still silence on the close-up, and then the pulsing bass starts. Cool, we're moving forward. I added it 2 more times here when it goes to B flat. And this is what we're gonna talk about now. The second harmonic tool we're going to use here is a very well-known device called chromatic medians. I really don't want to go all technical and theoretical in this video, but basically you can think of chromatic medians as chords that are built on a root note that is a minor or a major third up or down from the chord that you're moving from. So in C minor, as we are now, this would be chords that are built on the E flat, or on the E, or on the A flat, or on the A. Now, of course, it's from the C minor I move to the E flat. Diatonically, that means using notes that are from the scale that I'm using, the C minor natural scale. I would have an E flat major. But this doesn't sound very interesting. Because we're just moving from C minor to E flat major. Instead, if I use non-diatonic notes, and specifically if I use the G flat, making my E flat minor, I have something that is way more interesting. So from C minor to E flat minor. And I want to use Porphyra again, some synths. I think we need to add some synths for this. So I have my favorite preset ever. I already talked about this preset in other videos. A cinematic intro from Porphyra Hybrid, which is a beautiful dreamy pad. Sounds so good, they kind of all blend together, and again, here's in context. Here's the E flat minor. And finally, the last tip is to add some organic sounds. There is something about found objects, little mechanisms, rattles that works very well when scoring horror. To do this, I'm going to use a couple of instruments. The first one is this rattle that I found in a random shop, and it sounds so good. Sounds so much bigger and creepy to me, almost like bones, compared to other shakers and rattles. And this is made from shells of a nut that I'm forgetting the name of. I'm going to double track this, so that is recorded 2 times. I'm gonna pan it, one on the left and one on the right of the stereo channel. And specifically, I want to have this for this big crescendo over here. Now I feel we need something rhythmic. Let's get my MPA-19 built by Azam Bells and a $20 Amazon double bass bow. As you can see, it's been absolutely abused. Double bass bows tend to be better than other string bows for this type of stuff, as they are thicker and shorter. Loads of objects sound great when bowed. If you want to try this, do remember to also buy the rosin for the bow, or it won't work. Now I'm going to absolutely destroy this. I added some saturation with FabFilter Saturn. Some minor EQing just to bring the eyes up a little bit. I really want to hear that bow hitting the wooden peg. And then I've added some more saturation with EFX motion. And finally, my secret weapon for this kind of sounds is to absolutely compress in a very destructive way using Soundtoys Devil Lock. Hear how this absolutely brings out all the mechanical movements which I really want. And as a final touch, I added a bit of plate reverb. So again, here's in context. And why not? Let's also try and add some of this stick being pulled. Sounds really cool. Now it's really just about adding more elements. I'm going to double these chords using another preset from Porphyra. I found this cool preset called Buzz. Just sort of like cute little keys that works very well with the clown and the circus theme, kind of echoing what Verticale is playing over here. And also I used it here. Just before the rhythmic element. Add some panorama guitars, as I'm basically using it everywhere these days. Some humming vocals are always cool. And here's the final result. I really hope this was useful. Happy Halloween. If you liked any of the instruments used in this tutorial, you can check them out on our website, or I'll leave a link in the description down below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.